hydrogen that people talk about. What people talk about, we're using, because we use natural gas. In other words, the path toward using hydrogen in a furnace is natural gas. If you believe that hydrogen will replace coke, think again. Coke in a blast furnace has mechanical support of the burden function. You can't do that with gas. So the way to do it is through the 2 years. And the way to get there is using natural gas, which, by the way, is cheap and easily available in the United States. Europe talks a lot about hydrogen, and the reason is simple. That's Europe. They don't have natural gas. If they had natural gas, they would talk about natural gas. But because they don't, they talk hydrogen. At Cleveland-Cliffs right now, I am using the following strategy. Every single company or scientist or entrepreneur that talks about hydrogen receives a call from me. And I bring in Cleveland-Cliffs, and I ask them how much you need to finish your product to the end. And I'm volunteering to finance their development to the end with a time frame. Do you know how many so far signed the contract with me? 0. Because their plan is not to produce hydrogen. Their plan is to talk about hydrogen until people forget. So that's my strategy. And very soon I will be starting to give names, because some already irritated me enough for that. So in order to secure natural gas, the European Union would have to rely on Russia. Russia is like the United States. They have a lot of natural gas. But imagine a pipeline starting in Moscow with a shut-off valve operated by Vladimir Putin. That's what Europe would need in order to have natural gas. Too bad. I think that the European steel industry, I know that the AIST has a lot of Europeans, the European steel industry is doomed. They're done, for now, until they find a way to replace scrap that they don't have anymore. So, Cliffs puts money into shaping the future. We're investing a lot of money toward our commitment in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. It's a 25% real reduction. We are getting close. We're not done yet. We put $1 billion in our direct reduction plant in Toledo. $1 billion is a lot of money. It's a big investment for Apple, for Amazon, for all these companies that are in the $1 trillion. They would brag about a $1 billion investment. Well, when we committed the $1 billion, our revenues were $2 billion. So talk about betting the farm, that's exactly what we did. So now our revenues are 20, but it was 2 at the time that we made the investment. So we really believe in this industry, and we tend to put our money where our mouth is. I already said that. We use 100% pellets in our blast furnace. We use natural gas and HBI in blast furnaces. We believe in clean energy and energy-efficient projects. We have some going with the U.S. government and a couple of universities that are working with us. And I also believe in carbon capture, but I only believe in carbon capture after carbon is so low that we can capture what's left. So, and that's how we are approaching the thing. We can't start with carbon capture. Carbon capture is at the tail end, when you're done, when your carbon emissions are low enough for you to be able to not only capture but store. So, what should we expect for the next decade? 1, steel makers. More focus on return on invested capital. It's about time. There's one generation here that the only thing you guys heard, and ladies, throughout your 15 or 20 years career, so we're a veteran now, is cost, 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 let's cut cost, let's cut cost. You can make enormous mistakes by just cutting costs. Of course you have to cut costs. You're a manager. You've got to manage your costs. But that is not what your business is about. And keep in mind for the ones that are at the top, every time your cost-cutting order goes down, one step down in your organization, your message gets distorted and adapted. When it gets to the floor, they will do whatever it takes because they believe that they are doing what you want. And a lot of safety issues, a lot of things that happen, a lot of fatalities, some of those fatalities, massive fatalities, when you dig, you find cost-cutting, crazy initiatives behind, or cost avoidance, or local managers looking at the other side and allowing for things to happen. Please think about that. Businesses are about return on invested capital. In a global view, we're going to have more reliance on natural gas and less reliance on breakthrough technologies. We want breakthrough technology. Make no mistake. I started my career as an operator in ingot casting. And at that time, continuous casting was new. I was the guy that was planning to go to University of British Columbia to work with Professor Keith Brimacombe because I was a continuous casting guy. So I know a little bit about breakthrough technologies, but that's why they're called breakthrough. They are not something that will happen all the time. So we can't rely, we can plan around breakthrough technologies, but we can plan around the resources you have, like natural gas. Next thing, financial. That's probably the tallest ask. Big financial institutions no longer providing capital to bad environmental players. We see every day the JP Morgans and Goldman Sachs and Bank of America Merrill Lynch's and Blackstone and Vanguard and Prudential and Fidelity, they talk a good game on ESG. But any Chinese company that knocks on their door in a roadshow for an IPO, they'll give money. So we need to start denying access to our capital. And again, we can only stay with the data. GAAP accounting is very complex, and I doubt it that the Chinese companies can even comply. But they still have access to capital here from the United States, from London, from Frankfurt, from Tokyo. So it's about time to change that. But big financial institutions, if they really are serious about ESG, if they are really talking a good game, a real game, it's time to call a spade, and polluters should not have access to capital. And last but not least, a real recognition that the United States is the benchmark of all things steel, from technology to people to environmental compliance to interaction with the communities. We are the model to be replicated as best as possible by other nations. I expect countries to have more EAFs. They'll not get to 71% or 75% ever. But if they go from 10 to 30, I'll be happy. I expect more sinter. More pellets and less sinter. I don't expect them to be 100% pellets. I'm a realistic person. But a massive move from sinter to pellets will do it. I expect more natural gas and less talk about breakthrough technologies. I expect more action and less BS. We also need to defend what we are. We are a very technologically driven business. That's why this is the Association of Iron and Steel Technology. We need to push back on technology being a bunch of apps operating out of an iPhone. There is more technology in steel making than on Uber. There's more technology in producing car parts than in any delivering company like Amazon. We need to stand tall, understand that that's a great business, that manufacturing is at the core of our values. Capitalism, democracy, opportunities for people. And that's what our business is about. Thank you very much.